Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Elizabeth Chance podcast, formerly known as Busy Living Sober. And we are on episode 333. And do you know the meaning of 333 by your angels is that what?
Oh, I know the meaning.
What's the meaning?
It means angels.
No, that's not what it means.
Oh, it doesn't. Oh, my mistake.
Don't you love husbands? They have no idea what they're talking about most of the time. 333 is a sign from your angels that you are on the right course and that you are growing and that you are to not paraphrase. It says your guardian angels that you are moving in the right direction or to make changes in your life for the better. Angels 333, there's a message coming from God and the angels to you or to someone who needs guidance, strength, and courage and protection. So exciting. It's episode 333. And I have to thank SoberLink. That's our sponsor. Thank you, SoberLink, for sponsoring Elizabeth Chance and Busy Living Sober. Imagine that you just got sober. You're working your program, checking in with your recovery coach, maintaining employment, and well, thriving. Now imagine none of your closest friends or family believe you. Wouldn't it stink? Mm-hmm. So much trust is lost during active addiction, and it can be hard to convince loved ones that things are different, that you're different. SoberLink can help. SoberLink's remote alcohol monitoring system is designed to help you sustain a sober lifestyle while rebuilding trust with loved ones. It's small enough to fit into your purse or your back pocket and discreet enough to use in public. SoberLink devices can combine facial recognition, tamper detection, and real-time results so friends and family know instantly that you're sober and you're working towards your recovery goals. As a certified recovery specialist myself, I really can't think of a better tool to maintain accountability, strengthen your community, and prove sobriety to loved ones. So make 2023 a memorable one. Visit www.soberlink.com/BLS to sign up and receive $50 off your device. So exciting. Thank you again, SoberLink.
Thank you.
So it's 333. Good things are going to happen. Isn't this great? It's 2023. I just said, we always, it's a lot of threes, right? Yeah. And I have to say, I got up today at 4:30 in the morning again. If you watch my pod, I do these live. I don't really do live. I do these reels every morning when I'm on my walk. And today I said, I can't believe it's January 31st. And I woke up January 1st with all these dreams and aspirations of changing everything in my life, right? I was gonna change all these things. And I prayed for things to change. And I woke up today and the only thing that came true that I want, the Eagles won, and they're playing in the Super Bowl.
Well, what about Kansas City?
Well, we like Kansas City too.
I think you prayed for them as well.
I did. And I have to say, Mahomes was unbelievable. And talk about somebody who's got tenacity and who has drive and ambition and doesn't give up. I mean, he was so hurt and he kept going.
Yes, he did. It was amazing.
It was amazing. It shows the drive and tenacity we all have to take, and especially if we love something. And
especially if you really want to accomplish something.
Right. And I feel like accomplishing things and setting goals for ourselves can be hard. At least it is for me. And unfortunately, I don't take the whole year, which Jeff tends to do. I mean, he's much better at the long game than I am. I am short game, want results. Oh my gosh, why didn't it happen faster? And
yes.
You are definitely more long game.
I'll usually give stuff at least a week anyway.
Do I?
I don't know.
That's not being truthful.
You tend to have things happen very quickly. And then you tend to get a little discouraged when they don't happen immediately.
And it's hard. And especially hard with relationships.
Yeah.
With other human beings.
Well, that would be most of the relationships. Much easier with the dog than with the people. Although the one dog is kind of tough to get along with, I have to be honest.
Our golden doodle is 13 years old, and she is Oh my gosh, she's like a human. If you don't give her what she wants, she literally will nudge you and nudge you and nudge you. It's kind of like me.
Yep, she'll just pester you and pester you until you finally say, okay.
Right. And it's like, why do we, it's too much. It's just too much. And it's hard when I don't get my things instantaneously. I mean, I can say that I've been on a plane before and people are like, oh my God, we're so late. What are we gonna do? And they're like yelling at the steward and all these people. And I always look at them in a way that's like, oh my God, we're flying in this silver thing across the United States and we're gonna be in California, or if you're going the other way, to Europe, and you're gonna be there in 6 hours. And before you'd have to go by boat or by
Wagon train.
which we're watching on that what is it called?
1883.
1883.
Yeah, they make it about 2 miles a day.
Yeah, it's like, okay. And so with that, I get it that I'm like, okay, if they're running late, I get it. But when it's like, I want somebody to react. And I watched this thing, and this is a touchy subject I'm going to talk about, but it is relationships with family members. And it's a very taboo subject. And I can't even believe I'm going there. And I will just preface this that JF was like, I don't know if we want to talk about this topic. And I was like, oh, really? Okay. He doesn't want to talk about it, but we're going to talk about it anyway. I hope that you will chime in.
Well, we'll see. Luckily for me, I have you. I don't need to talk that much, which is why we're such a good couple.
Somebody has to be the alpha dog in front, and that's always tends to.
Well, I met a guy a couple weeks ago who introduced himself as so-and-so's husband. And I was like, I can relate. That's not a bad place to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of nice that you're okay with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you weren't, it wouldn't work.
No, not at all.
No, it wouldn't work. Mm-hmm. And that's where relationships are. And then I want to talk about, so family relationships and relationships when you're getting sober. I think it's really interesting when you put down the drink and you're like, oh my gosh. For one, I wanted a parade. I wanted a tiara. I wanted a red carpet everywhere I went. I'm like, look, I'm being a good girl.
Yeah, I hear you.
Oh my gosh, pay attention to me. I'm being a good girl.
Like, do you know what I'm giving up? Do you understand that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm doing?
I mean, I'm like a guy that lost his legs in the war. I could get a free house from those people on TV. You know?
It's terrible, but you do feel like that when you're giving it up, because you're like, I'm giving this up. And it's unfortunately, the people in the family don't tend to give you a parade.
No, generally not.
They don't even give you a tiara.
If you're lucky, they'll let you back in the house.
And they sometimes don't do that. And relationships change so dramatically when you remove that one liquid. It's like so crazy to me. Like, it's a liquid in a bottle that changes you. It's a spirit. Mm-hmm. And it changes the whole dynamic of the family. And you're like, I'm removing it. And then people feel weird and they feel offended. They're like, wait a minute, you're not going to be drinking. Wait, what's that all about? And you're like, well, I've decided that I'm going to break up with this. Now, obviously, we chose, both of us. I mean, JF had a little bit different of a story, but I chose to like put it down because it was just not working in my life anymore. You were kind of asked by the police to stop, right?
Or authorities above the police. Yes. Mm-hmm. It wasn't my idea to stop, but it was suggested it might be a good idea. And, for whatever reason, I tried it out and
it stuck.
And I came around to agree with those people. It was a good idea.
Yeah.
But I know exactly what you're saying, because I can really relate to, that family dynamic of the people I grew up with. And, over time, when I got sober, I was 36. So there was, everybody was a grown up. And over time, and I've been a lot of them, been 36 years for me. I'm the oldest, couple of years less for my siblings. We all had the parts that we played in the ongoing, family dynamic. And, when one person stops playing their part, it screws up the play. Basically, it does, and it takes some time to get it going again in a different fashion.
And it's really, the emotions that come out are, I don't know if it's people are fearful. I know when I had people in my family that got sober before I did. And I was like, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, they're so weird. They're so different. Oh my gosh, they carry around that blue book and all they do is smoke cigarettes, whatever. I mean, they were way younger. And I was way younger because I got sober at 37 and I'm the oldest as well. So but when I finally did, I was like, oh my gosh, for one, I can't believe I did that to my siblings when they were trying so many years before. It was not very cool of me.
Well, you probably had, my guess is that a lot of that reaction is like, I think that people they almost take it as an attack on themselves. Like, oh my God, like, are you going to try to make me stop?
Well, it's the change, right? It's the change. It's nobody likes change, right? Including us.
Yeah.
And then you go and you put a family dynamic there and you're like, wait a minute, they're changing. Oh my gosh, what are they changing for? And it's like, people don't, it feels foreign because we don't know about it. I'm going to give an example for me that works for me. I went to a church that I've been going to the same sort of church for, I'm going to just round it up, even though it hasn't been 30 years, but I was raised Roman Catholic. And then I took my kids to the Episcopal Church. So I've been going there for like 30 years, right? And I tried out this other church that was more non-denominational, and it was a little different than what I'm used to. It had a rock band and all stuff. And I thought it was cool, but it was so different from what I'm used to that I was like, I don't know if I feel comfortable like this. Right? Right?
Well, and that's comfort. That's a good word, because that's what it really comes down to. Like I said, when you're in the family dynamic play and somebody stops and nobody's comfortable because it's not the same thing anymore.
Right. It totally changes, and people get offended and people get upset, and people are, people are just really, it just causes, what would you say it causes?
I think it causes, I don't know what your family was like, but among certain family members, it definitely causes fear and anxiety, because they're like, what if I'm next, what if I'm the next one,
Yeah.
because in my family I wasn't the only one that was a hard drinker, and and that can scare people. And I know for myself, I had, while I was still drinking, I had some people that I knew that stopped drinking, that went to AA or whatever, and just kind of like you are with your siblings. I was like, oh my God, like I don't want to get anywhere near these people.
It's contagious.
It's just like, I mean, you've said it many times. It's like the Grim Reaper shows up to the party. And I was a party guy, I wanted the party to go on. That's what I knew. And I was definitely felt threatened by somebody that I thought like didn't want to party anymore. And I remember there was one guy, I had this wild group of guys that I hung out with when I was young and in New York City. And we were wild. And the guy who was the absolute wildest, this is a true story. He was someplace and these girls videotaped them one night with a big, this is the old days, big video camera. And he had no idea, but he got up the next morning and they had it on the VCR, and he watched himself, and he was so appalled that he has never had a drink since. He never went to a program and everything. He just was like, I'm never doing that again. And he went at it hard, like night after night after night, like we all did. And all of us were like, oh my God, like, Billy stopped drinking. Like, it was tough. It was tough. It really messed up the dynamic of our entire group.
But I think that's interesting. I wonder if these cell phones, I'm going to pull it up with the camera on the back, more people are aware of what they're doing. And they're more aware of seeing pictures of themselves. And they're like, oh my God, I look like that. Because I will tell you, I am that vain. I know that I am that vain. I am that vain that I would have seen myself and I would have been like,
I think most people would probably react the same way if they saw themselves. I mean, I'm sure I would have.
Yeah.
I have, there's old still photos of me that people have taken. And I'm not happy about them at all. And I wish they would get rid of them. You know, I hate it.
I've
when
never
I
seen
hate
any
it.
of them.
Well, you
Hey,
wouldn't,
does
you know,
any of those friends out there listening? I'd love to see them. Never seen one of those.
I just, you know, I hate it if I'm someplace and somebody brings out one of those pictures. And it's been a long
I was
time.
gonna say it's never happened in the 10 years we've been together.
Been a long time.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because who walks around with photographs any longer? You know, thank God they're just photographs. But it's just, you know,
But it's the whole dynamic that changes. It's the whole dynamic.
sure.
And we all have these heads that think all these thoughts. And as I mentioned, I still have thoughts, or obviously I wouldn't be waking up at 4:30 in the morning. But these thoughts that go on and on and on and on and on ad nauseum, and you're just like, oh my gosh. And I just, you quit drinking and you're like, everybody's looking at me. All eyes are on me now, and they're watching me. And it's interesting because I don't think it's such a big deal. It's not like to me, it isn't. And obviously I'm sitting here 17 years, you're 25 years out. It's not that weird. It's just not that weird. It's like being able as a grown woman, and I'm, 54 years old. So when I get up in the morning, I want to have energy. I don't want to have a headache. I can't even imagine. I think back to when my kids were little, and my kids, when they were very little, and and I'd be like, oh my God, go play in the traffic. I can't freaking take it. My head's hurting so much. And, realizing that there was an alternative, because I didn't think there was. I thought that you were a big drinker, you're going to die a big drinker. It wasn't like you were going to go from a big drinker to a teetotaler. I was like, I don't think it goes like that. I don't think it goes from having this craving and this phenomenon and all this allergy, because that's what it is, right? I mean, when I did get sober and I went into a 12-step meeting, and there was a description of what it was that I had. And it was like, oh my God, for so long, I was like, morally, I'm a bad person. I'm a horrible person. I'm not it's terrible. But now I look back and I'm so grateful that I read that description, because this is who I am. I think differently. My brain's wired differently, just like everybody else's are. And I think that something that is really important, for me at least, is realizing that we're not robots, right? We're not androids. We are not telephones. We are not Sims. We are not things that people make with the computer. We're humans. We have a heart. We have a brain. We have emotions. We have, and even in a family, I know in my family that I grew up in, I would ask one of my siblings a question, and their idea of what had happened was completely different than the way I envisioned it.
I have the same problem with my wife. We all, everybody sees things with their own perspective, and that perspective of early sobriety, of like, the way you were describing it, it's just part of it. When I think about it, I think about but why wouldn't it be, when all I've known is the way I've been living for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, however it was. And now I'm not living like that anymore. And it happens like that. I look at my own story, and I went from being a guy who went out 5 nights a week to, I just stopped. One night was my last night. It wasn't like a gradual slowdown or anything. It was just, I stopped, and that was that.
Well, and what happens with the family is this silent treatment. And we don't talk to each other anymore, right? So I know that it's been generational in my family, where one generation, my grandparents' generation, I know my grandmother didn't talk to her siblings. And then my mom didn't really talk to her siblings. And then I don't talk to my siblings. And now I have a child that I don't talk to. And it is this silent treatment. And so badly, I want us to talk. And I feel like, I'm like, is it because it's just easier just to not talk to people, just to cut them off and say, I'm not talking to you anymore. But so it's this, I'm not a phenomenon. I know that now, but for so long I thought I was like, I'm a phenomenon. I'm the only person who doesn't know. And oh my God, I'm but it's it hurts so much. And, I so desperately want this person to talk to me, and I'll do anything, anything. And shy of really crossing their boundaries, I haven't showed up at this person's doorstep, even though I've wanted to,
Mhm.
but I haven't, because this the one thing that really is, I think, interesting in the whole family dynamic is when I was just talking about having a different perspective than somebody else. And somebody has to be good and somebody has to be wrong, bad. Somebody has to be right and somebody has to be wrong. Instead of being like, oh, well, that's how you saw it. I get it. That doesn't mean that they're wrong.
No,
And it doesn't mean that I'm wrong that I saw it this way.
doesn't mean that you're right either, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. But having that wherewithal to talk about it in a way that's like, I get it. You heard it this way. This is not what I said, but this is how we're now dealing with it, is nobody talks to each other.
Mhm.
And this cell phone thing has made life like even harder, because I think that we say things on a cell phone in a text message that we might not have said, what can be perceived as something that you're, because a word is so, when you communicate with another human being, a word means something. Like if you're to say, can you bring, oh, I know, I got a good one. I forgot the milk at the grocery store. And your response might be, oh my God, you did? Now, your response to that, oh my God, you did, would think, depending on what frame of mind you are, what is your thought?
If I say, "Oh my God, you did,"
No, if I said that to you,
then I would think like, "Oh, she's really mad at me because I forgot the
right
milk."
now, instead of,
But I have no
oh my,
idea. I
right,
have no idea.
you have no idea. And
Mhm.
instead of, it could be, oh my God, that's crazy. He forgot the milk.
Yeah, could be.
Now I'm gonna have to go to the Wawa.
Well, I agree with you that I don't think that if your point is texting is no way to communicate, I agree with you 100%, because you can't get any emotion through in texting. You think you do. I listen to people who are speaking as they're texting their message, and they're saying all this emotion, but they're just writing down words that have no emotion,
Right.
right? So, maybe the way to go is the way you do it now, where you talk into it.
And you can hear my voice,
Mhm.
but it has caused so much, that silent treatment, which is just, oh my God, the silence is so deafening, right?
Mhm.
The silence is so deafening. And having this in your life, when you're like, oh my God, I've worked so hard, I'm sober, I've done all these things, and you just don't want to talk to me, it makes me want to cry.
It's really hard when there's a schism, isn't it?
Oh my God, I can't stand it. And it happens in every family. And I love Mel Robbins. I really do. I think she's got great insight. I always say she's my age, she's sober, she's got 3 kids. She is married to her original husband, which I am not, but in other ways, and she's from Missouri, she's from Kansas City, and I'm from St. Louis. But and she said something about silence is a way of communicating, and it's so hard, because how do we get past that? How do we get to the other person so you're like, come on, just give me, like, just sit down with me in a public place across from each other, and let's like put down all of our preconceived notions and what we think. What are your thoughts on this? I
Well,
know
I
you don't
think
want to talk about this.
no, but I think that I got to be accepting of the fact that it doesn't matter what I want the other person to do. Like, I'm just wasting my time if I'm focused on what I want the other person to do, because it doesn't work that way. That's not how life works. The only person that can do something is me. And so it's like, so what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because I'm the only person that can do anything in the situation. And if the other person's never going to respond, I have to live with that.
Yeah.
I can't make them. I can't make them do anything. I can't make anybody do anything ultimately, and it's difficult. It's really hard. It's really hard, and there's it just takes a level of acceptance, and it doesn't mean that you can't that you don't stop thinking about that person every
Oh my
single
God,
day.
every day,
And
every
it doesn't
day,
mean that
every
you
day,
don't stop,
like numerous times a day.
loving that person if that's how you feel, or
Yeah.
whatever it is. You don't stop any of that, and and you always want to have like every door open that can be open.
Right. And
Yeah.
I think that loving and that not carrying around the hatred is huge, right?
Yeah. Well, you
And
can't.
not being angry. Like I'm not angry, I'm just hurt. And so there's a difference, but anger comes out. Anger is fear. And I think like
Yes.
at the bottom of anger, if you were to take like
Oh, that's
open a big
100%.
hole and go all the way down, and all these emotions would come up as you open the thing. And at the very bottom of the hole, you would find fear
Every time.
every time.
Every time.
Every time. And that's why I'm like, I'm up in the middle of the night because I fear that I'm not going to get what I want. I'm not going to keep what I have that I already have.
Mhm.
I'm not going to, it's not going to look like the way I want it to look like in my pretty picture. And, that is just, oh my gosh, it can keep your mind, at least my mind, racing
You
and
can do it for
racing and
anybody.
racing. Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Yeah. And it's huge. And especially because now when you put down that drink, which, at least for me was like it, I didn't just go to sleep. I passed out. So I would pass out
Mhm.
and then none of it really mattered, right? Because I was passed out.
No.
So I just went to sleep. So I didn't wake up in the morning. I would wake up the next morning going, oh my God, what did I do? Where's my car? Does it have the windows on it? Okay, good. I mean, the mirrors on it, not the windows.
Well, the thing about drinking, or I'm sure with any drugs, like any substance that's mind altering, is that if you have, and you've said it so many times in so many different ways, if you have unpleasant emotions or emotions that you don't, can't or won't or don't want to deal with, you can make those emotions go away. You can blot them out. That's what you do. You can just blot them out. And once you take all the substance out, there's no way to blot them out.
No.
You have to find other
Well,
ways
I
to
can
deal
tell
with it.
you the other way is like here. This is like 2 months, and look at this huge binder all the way filled with my thoughts. I have to tell you that waking up, I do not stay in bed at 4:30 in the morning anymore. Cause like today I was like, hello, are you gonna start talking to me? And he pretended like he was asleep, even though he says he's been up since then, which is a big fat lie. But because I heard him snoring. But I was up at 4:30 and I was like, all right, I'm gonna get out of bed. I'm going to go out here. And I just started writing. And I have to tell you that I put down gratitude, stuff that I was grateful for.
Mhm.
And it changed everything. It totally changed my perspective because I was like, oh my gosh, guess what? I don't have to be so upset about this stuff that's like I have no power over. Like today's going to be a good day. It was sunny out. Luckily, I live in Florida.
Yeah.
And I went for a walk with my dogs, and that was really nice. And I got out, and it's just it changed my thinking. It's like move a muscle, change a thought, move a muscle, change a thought, move a muscle, change. So my muscle that I moved this morning was my hand muscle in writing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that really changed everything. Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
I really appreciate it. I'm
Mhm.
glad you said yes, because we have a listener who's like, I love the chemistry you and your husband have. And I'm like, all right, you want to come on? Come on. But I will tell you, I've somebody coming from the other, like far away from, I'm so excited. Next week, I have, I listened to Insight Timer, and one of my favorite meditating teachers is coming on next week, and she's from Melbourne, and her name is, if you want to listen to her.
Melbourne up by Cape Kennedy?
No, Melbourne,
You're
Australia.
kidding me. Wow.
No, she's
How about
coming from
that?
Melbourne, Australia, and she's obviously coming on Zoom. I'm not going to Melbourne, but I am going to do one in Amsterdam, which I am going to go there for. But so anyway, Anne Marie Raleigh is her name, and it's Rowley, and it's Anne Marie, ANNEMAREE. Check her out on Inside Timer. She's
Will do.
fabulous.
Anne Marie Raleigh. Got it.
Yeah, check out Anne Marie Raleigh. And I do want to thank Jen. So Jen wrote to me last week, and I was really praying. Oh my gosh, my phone died. So
hate that.
it died. I was so excited to share this with you. But anyway, I'm going to actually read it from my email right here because I'm just plugged in. And if you guys don't mind just seeing me for 1 second, I'm just going to show you or tell you this, what this, and Jen said. Jen was like, now she's talking about the podcast 28. So we're curious. And she said she loved the podcast, but she's an oncology DNP. And she wanted to clarify that not all women or people who get breast cancer are big drinkers, not even the majority. While alcohol use absolutely does increase breast cancer risk, there are many people with breast cancer who are non-drinkers or very light drinkers. The etiology of cancers, including breast cancers, are complex and may include genetic, hormonal, and environmental cancers as well as bad luck. I wanted to just say, Jen, thank you so much for clarifying that, because obviously I don't know everything by any stretch of imagination. And majority of this, let's just say, is my opinion, unless I have a guest on. It's just my opinion. And I would never want to offend anybody. So if I did, I so apologize. And thank you again for bringing that to my attention. I really appreciate it.
That was nice.
Thank you.
Thanks,
So
Jen.
thanks again for coming on. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. And catch me on Instagram. I'm doing a reel every day just to I don't know, bring awareness and bring everybody back together and realize that, you know, life isn't that tough right now. As much as we can make it that tough, because I can definitely make it tough. Hence,
It's
I'm
only as
getting
tough
up.
as you make it, right?
Exactly. And I've been getting up lots of days at 4:30 a.m. So thanks again for 333. Hope everybody has great luck with this. And until next week, take care. And I'll talk to you next week. And oh, wait, you can reach me at elizabeth@elizabethchance.com. And that's with a Z, ELIZABETH @elizabethchance.com. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.
Bye.